gonna stay close.
Okay, hi. I'm Jan. I like GitLab. That's why I want to just tell you some things I learned in the last few years. At ATX, I'm doing test automation, and that's why my talk is mainly about pipelines. Yeah, different aspects of it. But I first start with something very similar, a very small tip about using GitLab. Maybe you've noticed there is these small pinnets buttons next to menu entries. If you click it, it will appear in the top section of the navigation bar in every project. That's not a real hidden gem. The main thing I want to tell you here is that it really helps speed up my working with the GitLab UI, and I always pity my colleagues if they have to search for menu entries. So again, as you see here, there are some points about code management, and the major part is about pipeline management. So, well, let's get to the pipeline stuff. What is a pipeline? You probably know this is just a sequence of commands that run if you have GitLab runners and if you have a GitLab CI YAML in your repository. On the right-hand side, you see the output of such a job. Actually, lines 18 and 19 is the actual output. The definition is here on the left-hand side. So we have a job called environment, and it outputs a variable, and a variable definition above is a variable, so it's not a constant. That means you can override it. How can we do this? There are several ways to override variables used in my jobs. One is during a push, you can add a CI variable push option. That's quite nice. Problem is it only works for this one push event. I sometimes want to run my pipelines outside of this context of push. Can run it manually. There's a button somewhere in the UI that allows me, that brings me to a form where I can select a branch that my pipeline shall run for, and I can enter the variables. Again, there's some disadvantage because I have to know which variables exist. I can amend this if I don't write the variables just as a list of keys and values, but if I write them as lists of hashes or of nested hashes. As soon as I have a description for my variable, it will appear in this form for the new pipeline as a pre-filled variable, which is quite nice. And if I also add options, it will present me a drop-down list of selectable items. This is nice if I run a job sometimes. The next step is that I always run jobs with the same parameters again. Win, but eventually it's always the variable in the parent pipeline that gets used. So no variable that exists gets overwritten if you go further down the hierarchy. We have one more example from troubleshooting, an error message that I get asked quite often what this is about. So we have this listing of the CI YAML in the script section, and it complains that this is not a list of strings. But why is it not a list of strings? So what's happening here? The problem is the colon inside the echo thing. So there are two solutions. Either you replace the colon with a equal sign or something else, or you enclose everything in codes. Probably you encountered this at some point if you're working with pipelines. And that's it for me. Happy pipelining.